Hey, what does it mean when you get asked the question to expand an algebraic expression? Well, it means basically is get rid of the brackets. So we've got this one here, 3 outside of x plus 4. So expand it means we're going to get rid of the brackets. So here's a little strategy I like to do for this. Okay, every time you see, so we go inside the brackets. Every time there's a plus or a minus, I'm literally just going to split it into pieces. Okay, so this reminds me, because when I do the expansion, I'm going to take the number that's out the front and I'm going to multiply it by each of the pieces that we just created. So there'll be a piece there and there'll be a piece there. We've split this into 2 pieces, and all we're going to do when we expand it is we're going to do those multiplications. So let's do the first one. 3 times x, the first piece. Well, 3 times x gives me 3x. My next multiplication is 3 times this second piece. And here's the process. Do the numbers first. 3 times 4 is 12. It's a positive and a positive, so my answer will be a positive, and boom, we just expanded that. There's no brackets left in this. So this is the same thing as this. It's just been expanded. Now, sometimes you'll see questions that say expand and simplify. So if I have a look at this expression, I can see some brackets, so I'll need to get rid of them. And it's also got this plus 6m. So let's go through and we'll do the brackets first. Remember I said everywhere that there's a plus or a minus inside the brackets, I'm literally going to split it into 2 pieces. I've split it into an m and a plus 2. So I know that my first multiplication will be these 2 things. So let's put that here after the equal sign. Minus 4 times m gives me minus 4m. Minus 4 times the second piece. Well, let's do the numbers first. 4 times 2 is 8. It's a negative and a positive, so I know that gives me a negative answer. And if you're not good with negative numbers, you could do that in your calculator just to be confident. You could do a negative 4 times positive 2, and you're going to get an answer of negative 8. Now, there's this bit here we haven't touched yet, the plus 6m. Okay, so that's not inside my brackets. So it's not part of the expansion, so I just tack it on the end here. Now, we've done the expansion, but this is the simplify bit. I have a look and I see, do I have any like terms? Well, I can see that the negative 4m and the 6m are like terms. In other words, they have the same letters. So I can add or subtract those. And that's what I'm going to do in this question. If I've got a negative 4 and I add a 6, that gets me to positive 2. And it's the m's. So I've got negative 4m's. I'm adding 6m's. So that gives me 2m's. So you'll notice I just did the numbers first. Negative 4 plus 6 gives me 2. And because these were m in the term, I have to put m in this bit here. And this bit is not a like term. It doesn't have any m's in it. So it literally just stays on its own. And we are done. We have expanded. So we expanded this bit to get this. And then we simplified any of the like terms to get it down to its simplest form. Let's have a look at one more. All right, in this case, I'm asked to expand and simplify this one. Now I can see there's 2 sets of brackets, so I'm going to have to do 2 expansions. And I'll just work with them separately, and you'll see as we go through that it's the same process, we're just going to tidy it all up at the end. First thing is I'm going to split the brackets into their terms. Okay, there's the plus, there was a minus. Wherever I see a plus or a minus, I'm going to split it. Because I know then that I'm multiplying that piece and that piece, that piece, and that piece. I'm doing them in 2 separate parts. So let's work our way through it. This bit here, negative 2 times 3x. Do the numbers first. 2 times 3 is 6. It's a negative and a positive, so that will be a negative 6. There's an x here, so that has to stay in the multiplication. So I did the numbers first. Any letters have to go back in. So negative 2 times 3x gives me negative 6x. Negative 2 times positive 2. Do the numbers first. 2 times 2 is 4. It's a positive. Sorry, it's a negative and a positive. So that gives me a negative answer. All right, we've expanded that piece. Let's do this expansion. 4 times x gives me 4x. And that's a positive. So the positive goes in there. The 4 times negative 4. Let's do the numbers. 4 times 4 is 16. It's a positive and a negative being multiplied together. That gives me a negative answer. All right, we've got rid of all the brackets, but there are some things that we can tidy up here. There are some like terms. So there's this bit and this bit are like terms, right? And also I've got this bit and this bit. These are numbers. So I can simplify these as well. So let's do it. Let's do the x's first. I've got a negative 6x plus a 4x. Well, let's do the numbers. Negative 6 plus 4 gives me negative 2. And if you're not sure, you can do that in your calculator. And these are the x terms. So the x has to stay in there. The numbers now, I've got negative 4 and I'm taking away another 16. So negative 4 take away 16 gives me negative 20. And that started out as this big long thing. We expanded both sets of brackets to get this. And then we added any like terms or numbers to trim it down to this. Good job. Well done.